welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And yes, I'm so late. I already know I'm late. I'm very late. But this is the review for The Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 17, episode 8, and it's called Sound Bath Breakdown. And like I said, I know I'm late. I am beyond late. But I had a rough week. Another death in the family, child. So the girl's been going through it and trying to keep it together. So I'm still kind of in that mode where I'm grieving, and I'm still trying to process it. But I did decide this time I'm not going to do what I did last time with the last situation, which is overly distract myself by working and all that. I actually did the opposite approach this time, and I hung out with my chosen family, my friends, cried, did that, and then I also took a break from my training program. I was like, you know what? We'll get back to the training starting next week. I need to recalibrate, and that's what we've been doing. So I actually haven't worked out since Thursday, even though I got the news about what happened on Tuesday. But I think it took some time for it to hit me. And then once it hit me, I was like, yeah, we're going to take a break. We really need to take a break and recalibrate the emotions, and then we'll get back to it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Am I okay? Not really, but I will be. You know, it's just, it is what it is. I'll just say what it was. My brother unexpectedly passed away, so 2 siblings in less than a month apart. So within a month apart, it's kind of wild. Half siblings, but still doesn't make it feel any better. But that's what's been going on and why I was late and why I kind of put everything on pause for a second. Even when it came to the distractions of overworking, I decided not to do that this time. Even though work is still pretty busy, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to do that to myself this time. I really need to actually take the time, get myself together mentally, and then we'll come back to it next week. So Monday, beginning of the work week, we're going to get right back into it. And I feel good about how I'm doing things. So like I said, I'm not okay, but I will be okay. I just wanted to get that news out of the way of why this is why I was late. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into something a little bit more lighthearted. Let's get into this episode. So we start off this episode with a Housewives montage of Kelly, and Kelly is at her restaurant ordering up some food, and then we see Shamia, and she is I think on a movie sound set or some type of movie set, and she's talking about the movie that she's doing. And then we see Pinky, and Pinky is with her husband and her daughter, and apparently it's her daughter's birthday, and she's doing the ABCs. And that's where we kind of start when it comes to the montage. But the first official scene, we actually go back to Kelly's restaurant, and we find out that Kelly is really going through it. She is breaking apart behind, right in front of our eyes. I do wish that this scene actually alone made me feel like I really wish Kenya didn't mess up, last season, because I think if anyone she can go to and reach out to where she can have a conversation, I feel honestly, if Kenya was on the show, she wouldn't, Kelly would not be in the outs with the rest of the group. Shamia, I can't really speak to that, but Kelly wouldn't be. And Kelly would, to me, I feel would have a Kenya to talk to about this type of situation, because she is going through a pretty similar situation that Kenya went through years ago, where her ex-husband is trying to block everything. So we get the details of her ex-husband not allowing her kids to film, which is messing with her bottom line. And then also to the fact that her husband refuses to pay child support, so he owes at least $50,000 worth of back child support. And she's basically a single mother of 4 now, and which is tough. And so she's going through it. She's mentally kind of falling apart. She's talking to her family about it at Nana's. And we also find out that the business is not doing as well as she would hope for. The first location, like the location that's always been open, apparently that's doing fine. It's that second, this new location, the one that she just opened, is struggling. And because she's doing it on her own, but she had to move forward with the process, it's just not going the way she was hoping for. And we also found out while she was gone in Dallas, her mom basically took over the operations of the restaurant, basically. And her mom has always kind of been there, had her back. And then we also meet the grandma, Nana, which is who the restaurants are named after. And she's just consoling with her family, but we do also find out that she does have a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, where she's dating this guy named Jarvis. Now, that's not the guy's name. That's his alias that they're using. And I'm assuming they're doing that to protect the relationship and because of the ex-husband, because right now her life is pretty much on pause until she gets this divorce finalized and get the child support situation figured out. So... but we find out, though, that she actually originally wasn't trying to date, but she ends up meeting this man, and they've been together apparently for a year now. And we also find out, this gets brought up because she is just kind of just annoyed at Portia poking at her about this married man situation because she's like, I got a whole entire another man. So I am starting to believe that Kelly really didn't do what they're claiming. I think Portia was on some BS. Like, I feel like most people thought that way, but the fact that she's been dating a man and it sounds like it's been exclusive for like a year, it wouldn't be possible for her to have, basically done something else outside of that, unless she, but we don't know. We don't know. Maybe it's a case of that, but I don't know. I kind of doubt it. So that's kind of where we're at with that situation. And she's kind of falling apart and trying to keep it together. And that's where that scene ends. Let's move on. So then next we see that K. Michelle and Phaedra meet up. And K. Michelle is trying to add light to the situation of who she thinks is plotting. For whatever reason, this is why I'm starting to give K. Michelle a huge side eye, and I have been, because she is so quick to because we find out from K. Michelle that the people that she thought were plotting and scheming were Drew, Portia, and Phaedra. And if you're wondering why I'm looking down, I'm messing with one of my nails. I know, it's a nervous habit. At least I'm not biting them. That will also let you know that I'm not doing well mentally if the nails are starting to get bitten again. So, seeing the nails the way they are right now, this is a good sign, guys. I hope you guys realize that. So, I'm holding it together. But anyway, I'm chipping. I'm trying to chip off the nail polish because I'm going to probably get my nails done tomorrow. This week. It's going to happen this week because I need it. I need it not just because of the one thing, but also because my nails are a little bit more brittle when I don't have the gel nail polish on. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but they break a little bit more easily. So I want some hard coating to hopefully prevent them from breaking because I do not want my nails to break. But anyway, I know that's not why we're here, but basically, K. Michelle does open up to Phaedra and basically was like, after talking with Phaedra, she doesn't think Phaedra has anything to do with the plot and scheming. And the explanation of why she doesn't think that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm just kind of like, girl, I don't know if I'm a little, I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't know because I am very confused by the whole situation. And it is weird to me that she is so quick to dismiss the idea that Phaedra would have anything to do with it. I'm a little confused by that. So there's that. But that's kind of what we find out. And we also find out, I don't remember if it was this scene or next scene because I'm actually just going off of memory from when I watched the show. And I watched the show back on, when did I see this show last? off of Thursday's memory of when I actually watched the episode. So if I miss anything, don't charge it to me. Like, y'all know what's going on. We'll get a better review next week. But anyway, so we find out though that they had a meeting, and that's that on that. And then after that, then we do see that Angela, Portia, Phaedra, and Drew, they all meet up for like, I guess either drinks or like a dinner. And they're all looking cute, looking nice. And I love that how Phaedra and Angela are now getting along. It's kind of a cute dynamic. And they're all just kind of commiserating, still trying to figure out what is going on with K. Michelle. Because at this point, everyone's still confused. And I am too. And so I'm still, like I said, I don't understand why how or why K. Michelle just let Phaedra off the hook so quickly, but is not willing to do the same thing with Portia or Drew. So anyway, but we find out though that Phaedra is going to be doing one of her Reiki events, and they're going to have a sound bath, and that is going to be the event of this episode. And they're still just trying to get to the bottom of what is going on. And we also, on top of this, we're seeing in this episode, there are still also things brewing with Shamia and Angela. And it's all kind of weird. Part of it, I would say Angela is instigating a little bit of it. But for the most part, it's not that hard to instigate with someone who's as passive aggressive as a Shamia. She's not doing herself any favors. Anyway, next. So then next we see Portia. She is with her family, and she is just talking about her dating. I'll be honest with you, anything that's related to Portia and her talk about her dating and all that, I just don't believe any of it. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but it just all seems like an act in the storyline. And so she is still trying to like date both Mike, which I don't believe that, and also Sway. I'm still not sure if I believe that either. And hold on, I'm trying to figure out. Sorry, Whisper is here, and you already know how she is with this chair. She does a whole lot, so I think I might have to pick her up and bring her to the fold. Come here, Whisper. Hold on, Whisper. Come on. I'm afraid if you try to come in here a different way, you're going to be a problem. You're a little too big to be doing what you be trying to do all the time. Whisper, you got okay. Good girl. All right. Whisper says hi per usual. This is her tail. Anyway, but also we find out that Pilar, this whole entire scene, she's basically talking to her mom and her sister, and then after that, she's talking to her sister about the whole situation with dating and all that, and how she's trying to say that Dennis is jealous, and it's weird because it's not believable. It's more or less Dennis is like, Portia's doing too much and just keeps introducing these randoms to Pilar. I think that is his main concern. But other than that, it's just kind of an odd situation. And it just makes me not believe, like, Portia's fake. It's giving Portia's phony. And so that's why when it comes to this K. Michelle situation with her, and I don't believe it. Although I don't believe, as much as I feel like K. Michelle's being sensitive, I also am starting to believe that K. Michelle isn't wrong. Because this episode, Portia's slip was showing this episode, especially towards the end of the episode. But anyway, so then from there, because Pilar wanted to see some lizards, but from there, I guess the person who was doing the lizards or whatever, they just bust out and just put a snake right on, like, in the middle of the floor. And I was just like, was that foreshadowing? What was that about? I had questions. But anyway, that was pretty much it with this scene. I kind of want to talk a little bit more about Portia and her dating thing, because we do later on this episode see Portia with Sway, and they're on the date. And like I said, I'm not sure if I believe Portia and her dating scene or not, or if this is just all seems like this is just a scheme that Todd set up to come with us with the BS. I feel like it's a little bit more of that. And honestly, I am starting to. Oh! Sorry. I'm leaving that in. And you want to know why I'm leaving that in and what was happening? Whisper has been walking back and forth and she slipped and her claw just went right into my leg. I don't think it broke skin though, but I just was not expecting that. Yeah, she's been overly hyped. Whisper had some visitors yesterday along with Zero. Zero's business as usual, but when Whisper has visitors, she is hyper because she's a ham. So she's like, I have visitors. I want to play some more. That's what Whisper's doing. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But back to the show. Yeah, I feel like though, just with Portia and Sway and all Portia's scenes in general, they all come off forced. That's what it is. They're coming off forced. And also it is adding to what I think K. Michelle's real issue with Portia is that and the thing is K. Michelle's doing the same thing. K. Michelle's trying to paint a certain narrative of who she is on TV. Portia's trying to do the same thing too, but she is doing it kind of almost at the expense of others. And I feel like what K. Michelle thinks she's doing is throwing a rock and hiding a hand type situation. Whereas K. Michelle and her narrative thing, she's basically trying to keep to herself and mind her own business. I think that is a little bit what we're seeing here. But I feel like more is going to be played out, but this episode just made me think a certain way about it. But anyway, so then that's pretty much it that happens between the Portia and Sway. They were on a date and they were talking about the relationship, but again, it comes off forced, so I don't know if I believe it. Anyway, moving on. So then next we see Shamia and Kelly. Kelly goes to meet Shamia as she's at her surrogate place. And we find out that at this point, Gerald doesn't want to be on camera anymore, which we kind of all knew that. And Shamia, I feel like, is single-handedly ruining her family and her life outside this show because she wants to be on this show so badly. Gerald clearly doesn't have no interest in wanting to be a part of this show, to the point where they broke the fourth wall because the surrogate lady was like, so where's Gerald at? And she's like, he don't want to be on these cameras. And it's like, yeah, we all know that. And so now instead, we have Kelly there instead of her husband, for a surrogate appointment, which, that's not really a good look. And then we also find out in this scene that Gerald is not happy with her acting when there's a romantic partner in the movie. He had a problem with that as well. And because Shamia is such a people pleaser, I don't know. To me, it seems like what Gerald wanted from Shamia is just a housewife. Like, literally just a housewife. But behind the scenes housewife. She makes her own money, but does everything low key. He does not want the fame. And she wants all the fame. So we're seeing that a little bit in this scene. And we also find out with this particular thing. Well, we found that, I think, in a couple episodes ago, but this kind of brought home the idea that this is going to be their last chance to have a boy, this last retrieval. And they still haven't even had a conversation of what happens when this doesn't work. And I don't know. I think what Shamia has not learned, and hopefully her watching this show, she will eventually learn to stop being such a people pleaser and speak her speech. Because it seems like one thing that both Shamia and Portia had in common is they're sweeper under the ruggers kind of people, which doesn't resolve anything. And Shamia does it more in a way to keep the peace, but I feel like, hold on. Whisper, stop it. And Portia does it more of a toxic, controlling way because she's trying to control the narrative. Yeah. So they're two sides of the same coin. But this is kind of where we're at with this scene next. So then after that, the next scene is we have Kelly with Chloe. I guess Chloe's because we found out Chloe didn't really go away to college. Like she is still like in the same like state and city. I think she goes to like she lives on campus, but the campus is maybe 30 minutes away or something like that. Like they're not far away. And so she's talking. She basically gives this basket that Shamia put together to Chloe. And they're talking about, you know, Chloe still wants this car, but she wants the car to be given to her. And Kelly's like, girl, we're not going to do that. And then Chloe did ask about how the restaurant's doing. And Kelly was truthful. It was like, it's not doing well. And Kelly at this point wants to give Chloe responsibilities because she needs it. And that's kind of all we get from this scene. But I did find it interesting that she actually did give that basket to Chloe. I would not have given that basket to Chloe. Or at least I would have cleaned up the basket and then give it to her. But, you know, I guess. Anyway, moving on. So then from there, we already talked about Portia and like the sway scene. We're going to get past that. We're going to go right into this Phaedra's Reiki event. We see Kay, Michelle, and Pinky. They're on the way to get there together. I think they're like the last ones, one of the last ones to show up besides Shamia. Cynthia shows up first and Portia shows up and then Drew. And we find out, and we didn't see this footage, I wish we would have, that Drew has an excuse for what she has a time delay issue. Like diagnosed time delay issue. And I was like, I actually believe that because Drew and her timeliness, I'd be so confused about how it would be messed up like that. But so this time she felt so bad. She was like, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to try to be on time. And so they all took in good stride and they're just talking about getting ready on how this is going to go. And Phaedra, of course, is hoping that she could bring the girls together and clear things up. And maybe this cleansing of the spirits can help them, you know, recalibrate and get back to a better place. Like I said, then Angela does show up, and then Kay Michelle shows up, and sorry. So then they do the sound thing. And we found out how they're going to do this sound thing is they have a pool. They're at this rented house. Phaedra's playing the flute. And they're going to be on these floaties in the water. And they're going to, you know, do the meditation in the water. Kay Michelle ahead of time was like, I'm not doing that because her ass is leaking. So she's like, I can't do that. And then I don't know who else wasn't. I don't know if there was anyone else that wasn't going to do it. But Shamia originally was going to do it. But then as she's on this floater just starts leaking. So she had to get out of the pool immediately. So now she's sitting next to Kay Michelle, you know, at the, like on the side of the pool, and they're doing the meditation. So what was nice was everyone actually did participate in the meditation. Pinky in her confessional, she was cracking me up. She's like, what is it? Like Pinky, I think is a great addition for the show. I know some of y'all don't like her, but she is a great addition to this show. Her commentary do be cracking me up. And in this episode, she again did not let me down. I was like, okay, good. And because she was like, what is happening? Because they were doing some chanting and stuff. And so she was confused on what was going on. She was kind of the only one that was just like, while everyone else was meditating. Everyone else was actually meditating. And then Shamia on the side, she's Indian style just twerking. I was like, girl, because there was drums and a flute. And I was like, she came and helped. She has to sit down and twerk still. It's like, God damn, Shamia. Ugh, so cringe. Anyway, so then after that, they basically, we find out that at this moment, Kay, Michelle, and Portia are going to keep it cute before they talk anything out, because of course they want to do this event first. And so they try. And then after that, they do have dinner afterwards. And then this is where they put everything on the table, or try to put everything on the table. And I will say this, K. Michelle really did try to come in peace, and Portia was kind of being confrontational and somewhat defensive, which actually it started to make me think that I don't think K. Michelle was completely wrong. Because a hit dog was hollering, and she was just very like confrontational about, a lot of things that, and she was like, I'm trying to move past it. But she was like, I just need to tell you how I feel, or why I feel a certain way. And so she actually breaks down how she got to her conclusion of why she feels a certain way. And she made very clear yet again that Shamea did not tell her this. And actually, she started side-eyeing Portia earlier on before she said anything. Like, it started when Portia and Kelly got into it at the lunch with her in the middle. And then the sly remark that she said about the miscarriage. Just little jabs for her is making her look at Portia a certain way. And then similar thing with the Drew situation. She's not trusting Drew. But I feel like Drew is not giving her any ammo for her to be reacting the way she's reacting. I feel like it's misplaced. She should be giving that energy she's giving to Drew to Portia. Because to me, it seems like Portia would be the one who would have more reason to do stuff. And then the black thing got brought up again, and Drew and K. Michelle almost got into it yet again. After K. Michelle and Portia tried to shut down everything and try to like deflect and do what she does and sweep under the rug. And they didn't really resolve anything, but they didn't really solve anything either. It was just kind of like I don't know. Because it went from that to the Drew and K. Michelle of it all. And another back and forth. And then from there, it went back to Drew versus from there it went back from Drew versus K. Michelle to K. Michelle versus Portia. And nothing really was solved. Just chaos kind of happened there, and the whole entire time, Phaedra's trying to keep the peace. And then towards the end, because what we also got a new thing that came up is where K. Michelle mentions that apparently Portia and K. Michelle have the same ex, but it's a different. So I feel like a lot of people thought originally when we saw the preview of this episode that we thought that the ex was like R. Kelly. That is another one of their exes that they share, though, by the way. But it was actually, I guess it's a guy that she dated on Queen's Court. Apparently, Portia dated him as well. And yeah, Portia didn't tell her, which was kind of weird. So another reason why K. Michelle's just kind of giving her a side, because she's like, girl, if we're working on the friendship, you should probably have told me that. Because apparently she's still in communication with X. And so everything that Portia's been saying about K. Michelle got back to K. Michelle through that X. And so, yeah, that was kind of grimy and kind of weird. And so then, as they're trying to patch things up, we hear that Kelly on the side, because Kelly's just over it. Kelly didn't even want to come. Kelly already said, she already was like, I'm going through a lot. I don't really want to be here, but I'm here because, money. And so towards the end of the episode, Kelly mentions, when Portia dated every freaking African in Atlanta. And that triggered Portia. We saw old school Portia. She came back out and was about to fight her. Because Kelly, as she said that, she put a drink in Portia's hand, like Portia's face. And that Portia saw red and was acting like she was about to fight her. They held Portia back. and a security came through, and then the episode ended as a to be continued. So yeah, the dinner did the opposite of keep the peace. Also, too, on the side, what was kind of cracking me up, you know how Angela and Pinky had that whole entire beef? They're getting along, and all they're trying to do is just eat and enjoy while all this is going on. And then also, too, as this whole entire back and forth is going on, Shamia is still giving these looks. And I'm kind of just like, I don't, that passive aggressiveness with Shamia, it just irks me. It irks my spirit. Like, say it with your chest and keep it, or keep it on the, or keep it pushing. Like, I don't know. And I kind of feel the same way about K. Michelle. I just don't do well with passive aggressive energy. I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, that is kind of what ends up happening this episode. And I do apologize if this video was not, well, for one, that was late. For two, if I missed anything. And for three, if it wasn't the energy I normally give. But I didn't want to not be on camera because I am doing better. But yeah, I'm still trying to process things. But anyway, that does conclude the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.